Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2, the ESL Pro Tour Open Cup Finals. This is week 34 on Korea. Two players, staples once again of GSL. Some of the best in the entire world and most entertaining, but still scrounging out those ESL Pro Tour wins. Unlike maybe the most accomplished players. Let's introduce. In the bottom left, Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure, the GSL finalist who beat Innovation to play against TY, which really gave us one of the most exciting series in showing how much better TY was than Cure. Like, he got beat so completely by TY, it was actually entertaining. I'm just saying, like, TY is that good. Alright, that's what we're going with that. I'll take any opportunity to bring that up. Anyways, I wish TY played in these tournaments more. Anyways, top right from the Africa, which is Korean Twitch streaming team and StarCraft team. A staple of early StarCraft 2, but back in GSL playing essentially the same way that he did 8 years ago, with just the same amount of excitement. Dong Regu, DRG. DPG Cure versus DRG. What I mean by that is some of the highest APM. We're talking 400 or 500, maybe almost Rainer level, as well as MUTA Ling Bane seems to be a staple. A lot of players are like, DRG, you can't just keep building mutas. It doesn't work. DRG's like, pfft. Where were you for the last 8 years? And sometimes it doesn't work. But we will see. I'm excited. And mutas are back, by the way. As much as I have railed against them and pointed out their weaknesses, which is essentially the entire muta, mutas are back. As Hydras have kind of been figured out, Terran players know how to defend against many of those early attacks. Against Bio especially, and against Mech. Muta stocks are rising. Invest today. A lot of people say it's a muta risk, but it should pay off. Some of this, I think, has to do with slight nerfs to Queens, Hydras, and Banes. But mutas, still waiting. Watching. Oh my god. A Ling died to the Reaper! Is that Clem? No, it's Cure. Otherwise, everything scouted, looking pretty standard. This is the finals of the ESL Pro Tour. Every Monday, you can sign up and waste these players' time in the first round. I've done it a few times. Not these players specifically, just players who are way better than me. But you can also watch live. But thank you to ESL for providing us with this opportunity to look at things. Play.eslgaming.com. The best place to pretend to beat Neeb. Three command centers, 2 barracks, 1 factory, 0 starports. That's Cure's opener. And this is an intentional gas on the low ground. He's hiding his second gas timing. And his third command center. Cure is trying to deny this information to DRG. DRG didn't go for Overlord speed. He doesn't seem to really be that interested in Novi scouting early on either. So it's going to be Bio. DRG on the other side. Just pumping out the drones. He's got creep on the way. We got a nice gentleman's macro game. When are we going to see the Evo chambers and the engineering bays? Is there going to be a lair before tech for DRG? Is there going to be any sort of significant attack before trying to establish the third for Cure? He's just going to put himself out there. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, but sometimes the best defense is just defense. As Cure realizes that DRG is very likely not going all in, based on what he's seen, but instead just focusing on drones. You can't cancel those creep tumors, which is kind of surprising DRG sent him out there knowing that the Reaper and Hellion, that's a significant slowdown on the creep, because he walled off with his Evo chambers, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. It's just it seems very small, but considering there's a wall off there, Brenda and her knitting crew are going to have to walk all the way off a creep if they want to replace that. So that whole side... Well, we'll see. Cure's coming up with... This is about the quickest attack you can do that has actual power behind it while you're going 3cc. He's got an armory on the way. He's got Hellions. He's going to go for Hellbats behind with Stim. There's not going to be any upgrades. In fact, I don't think he has any engineering base. So this is kind of a crazy build out of Cure. I don't even know for sure that Cure is going to be going bio, even though he is getting combat shields. Just stimming through. I don't think DRG expected this, considering the time. He's got 65 drones. A bit of Scarlet Syndrome, maybe. You don't really beat Hellbats without Banelings. You don't get Banelings without a Baneling Nest. And without a Baneling Nest, you don't beat Hellbats. And we've come around in a full dangerous circle. The Queens, though. The backstop for the Lings to wrap around. And enough Hellbats go down that DRG actually going to be okay. There weren't enough Marines or enough Medivacs to keep the Hellbats intact. Or at least enough of the Hellbats intact. You know, you'd really wish to have some more creep over here so you wouldn't have to worry so much about it. But another attack is coming across. DRG splits a handful of Lings. Banelings in production, but they have yet to be delivered. Once those Banelings are done and or 1-1, he's going to have a much easier time against this. Combat Shields, though, is finishing. DRG's taking a fourth. Great counterattack. But Hellbats are in position. That quick armory really paying off. Still no engineering base from Cure. This is kind of an all-in attack. He needs to keep doing damage. He needs to maintain that momentum. Otherwise, DRG will build an overwhelming amount of units and slam them into his army. That's not good news for Cure. He's got more barracks on the way. Where are your engineering base? He's getting another factory. 2-2 starts. Rarely do you see this. Oh, whoa! Slow Banes! Just waddle in and knock out a chunk of Marines. There was a wall. He left the depots down, though. The engineering base just now starting. Quite a depot wall at the third. But the upgrades are going to make all the difference. Engineering bays are nearly finished. But, like, Cure, with those slow Banes taking a lot of the momentum out of the original attack, I don't know how Cure expects to be able to compete with DRG. Well, here's how. So Cure is playing like the Zerg right now. There's that Spire, that muted den on the way. Cure is out-expanding DRG with less upgrades. No, that's what the Zerg is supposed to do. That's how Zerg works. There's a Liberator in the main. It picked up 5 kills. I have to assume most were drones, if not all. Though 3 drones died, so maybe a couple Zerglings. A Spore Crawler waddles all the way up from the natural. This Liberator slowing things down, but the 2-2 is closing in. Cure has a lot of Marines. No Marauders. I'm used to just saying Marauders after the Marines part, right? So Cure's going to have amazing micro without slipping a beat on his macro. Even though the supplies, this is all a bit of an awkward and hard to read situation. You can't leave the door open! You built the wall for a reason! Oh no, both doors were open. The Marines, everything has to come back, but a Widowmine dropping the natural. Only kills a couple drones. There's another, oh no! Wait, I did. It was hidden under the OV. 9 drones go down, but so do some SCVs. Widowmines, devastating damage across the board. And remember, the armory is done, which means those Widowmines are not revealed without detection. Oh, no. Oh, God. I'm stressed out. Blood pressure rising. Don't do it. It's not so bad. It's okay. Okay. Detection is finally here. Drilling claws on the way. I don't know if you need Banelings. DRG doesn't care. So now Cure is down 2 upgrades, but up 40 supply. The income is confusing. The army value is way higher. For Cure, are the mutas on the way? He has 1,400 gas for mutas. He just doesn't have the minerals because he's replacing drones, chasing them down, hunting. The drilling claws mines. Nice split there. Meanwhile, the medevac, any single Widow Mine, okay, that one goes down. But Cure has a 4th already. What a crazy game. without any real engagement yet, but Cure just keeps throwing units at him. The roles are so reversed right now. There have been a few counterattacks, but it's been mostly Cure up in DRG's grill. Because, of course, he be grilling, while Cure be chilling. The Hellbats, the Widowmines. Here comes some mutas finally to shut down these drops, but detection needs to be brought back. Still a 30 supply lead. 2-2 is on the way for Cure. 3-3 is a long way off because it requires a hive out of DRG. More Widowmite. Would you stop? He won't. He can't. Because if he does, then eventually... Oh, that Widowmine goes off. Doesn't quite get the one-shot. Another Widowmine drop at the 4th. He won't stop the drop. More drops than a Skrillex album right now. And just as devastating to DRG's eardrums. There are Widowmines scattered throughout. Those are changelings. That one Widowmine in the main will probably come into play at the worst possible time, I know, as a Zerg. Meanwhile, more drops coming out. The creep being pushed back. This creep, since those creep tumors were cut off, has never been replaced. So this entire side of the map is open, as well as the Evo chambers. Not that they're upgrading anything. Infestation pit is halfway done. And Jimmy, did we not check this beforehand? Come on. I want to hear the Marines melt. I want to hear the mutas explode in gory chunks. Just take a moment to hear what I said and move on. Alright. Widowmines hit the Overseers, but all that's left are mutas fighting the Marines heads up. They may win, but at what cost? Despite all that, and good targeting by DRG, finds a medevac. How many mutas went down? He's lost 11 mutas, 163 links. There's been 83 Marines gone down, and that number's not going to get any smaller. That's not really how it works. The Widowmine drops just don't stop. I don't know where these mines are coming from. There's another mine. That was the one from the main. Found 7 drones. Has to bring the mutas back. Cure darts in towards what's going to be the 5th base if he gets his way. +3 attack starts, so Cure has caught up in upgrades. He's kept the pressure on. The concerns I had are now gone, as Cure is even on upgrades. He's got his +3 on the way. He's got plenty of workers. The mutas softened up. A single Thor, making things very difficult. DRG is sending everything to the front, but it's not gonna stop. Cure breaks through. The Zerg Terran strat of just constantly sending out counterattacks and drops and small groups of units while relying more on macro than micro. Usually more focus for the Zerg, but here, Cure's just like, what if I just built 50 more Marines? And now, historically, Cure has been one of the players I look at, I'm like, Cure, why aren't you microing your Marines? How do I put this night? Like, until he actually wins one of those finals, he's always going to be the guy like, and then Cure got to the finals where he got dunked on by TY. And then Cure faced a Zerg and he never microed his Marines. And that has been his Achilles heel, is just micro and sometimes decision making. His macro's always been very, very good. It's just not usually been backed up with as strong of micro. And I like how Cure just kind of circumvented that by making so many units, micro became nearly irrelevant. There was no point, it's like, oh my god, look at those splits. He almost never split his Marines. He just kept attacking. And DRG didn't keep up. Of course, that was Eternal Empire. Any map where there's a ramp leading up to your natural, Eternal Empire, one of those, is a little more secure, especially if there's a ramp leading to your 3rd. You have a lot more defensive ability than on a map where it's on even footing. And Ice and Chrome is not only a smaller rush distance, but you can't take a 3rd base with a ramp up to it. There is none. So just generally, more vulnerable to all-ins, counterattacks, and essentially your opponent having a bigger army than you. That sounds kind of dumb, but like, just the ability to move across the map quickly. So, DRG, I don't think is going to let that happen again. I think he got really greedy and did not expect, because he was looking for the gas. So here's the key as well. I was pointing it out in the last game. But, so Cure hid his second gas. He went 3cc, which he hit. He had Marines patrolling. And then he didn't take any of the outlying gases. Those are the ones that are scouted by overlords relatively easily. Some bases, like on Ice and Chrome here, you can see both gases, but on Eternal Empire, you can only see one. So, in taking the inner gases and denying the Overlord Scout, since DRG didn't go for OV speed, he got blindsided by the Hellbats and the medevac timing, which, while it wasn't critical damage, the lack of Banelings means you have to keep investing in Zerglings, you have to keep rebuilding units, replacing creep, instead of just being able to shut it down or deflect it at least. So Cure pulled that one over on DRG. And that's game one. Okay, you get one. What does DRG do now? Will he invest in Overlord speed? Will he just build a Bane Nest quicker, which I think would have solved a lot of those problems? Oh my god, a lane kill! But the Reaper, dangerously close to death. Brenda, stop. Stop. Stop, milady. Please. Stop. Reaper spots the third. Already taken. I don't think DRG is going to consider really doing Roach on lane. Really, that wasn't a game where your whole game plan needs to be revisited. Oh, that drone. Oop. Spore Crawler. Speed is on the way. He spotted out. It's not just that he was going for a drone kill. He's looking for his gas mining. There might be a Roach Warren back there. There might be a second gas. There is one, maybe I'll get a drone kill. And two, just not seeing anything is seeing something in and of itself. So the Reaper, I'd say, getting what it wanted there. Information, valuable knowledge is power. Power leads to hate. Hate leads to anger. And anger leads to BattleNet forum posts. What are we talking about? Raven on the way! Opening it up with the most conservative of Tech Lab options. Whereas DRG, I'm surprised he hasn't got the Baneling Nest yet. Considering he didn't go OV speed and didn't scout. He's not scouting. No, wait, Brenda? What? What? We have creep. Just calm down. See, look. And I've been slimming down. Did you see how much airtime I got? You shouldn't stand in the grenade, though. I got it. There's the Baneling Nest. A little quicker than last game, I think. If there were to be a similar timing, it would be done. It really is greedy to not get a Baneling Nest before 5 minutes. Like, if you have any suspicion, or even no suspicion, but just to be careful if you plan on going Ling Bane. So, the inclusion of the Raven means, of course, easier to take out creep tumors, and the Raven itself. Okay. So an auto turret does take out an Obi. Just file that one away. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but I wasn't 100% sure. Obviously a non-speed OV, but denying the creep. Cure doing a great job of creep control in both games thus far. Whereas this time there are two separate knitting crews out there in order to try to keep that creep spreading. Some more damage onto the Raven. There's just enough creep up the ramp. The auto turret, though. Where are my transfuses? Meanwhile, the Zerglings coming around. A decent amount of surface. Oh, whoa. So close to killing like 3 or 4 Hellions. What? A queen? No! Revenge. Left out to burn. Or, I don't actually know what it died to. Maybe an auto turret? Anyways, DRG, 1-1, Baneling speed, Spire. Like, this is a Heart of the Swarm build. He's doing a 2013 build. He got the Baneling Nest alongside the lair. He's got 3 bases, and now he's getting all his lair tech, and now we're adding on Macro Hatch in 4th. DRG, like, he went to the military, as he's obligated in South Korea. He comes back, and it's like he never left. It's like, but it's Legacy of the Void. I don't care. It's like Bomber. To an extent. Well, Bomber came back and played TVP with only Marines, Marauders, and Medivacs. Whereas, and then in TVT, he only made Cyclones and Mass Command Center. So that's a little different. But, I mean, MUTA Ling Baneling is back. I think this is the most iconic unit composition and matchup in StarCraft 2. So, I'm excited to see it. And honestly, I bet Cure and DRG played each other 7 years ago in similar games, but DRG probably won, because DRG was way better in, like, Heart of the Swarm. We'll see if that continues. So far, Cure getting the better of him. +1/+1. Is there an armory? Already done. Muta's on the way. No significant damage, but Cure has been keeping control of the creep, which is damage in and of itself. The creep spread really tells you the state of the game with top-tier players. If the creep is pushed all the way back into the Zerg bases, or cut off, or essentially non-existent, well, the Terran's obviously having a great time. If it's about halfway across the map, things are about even. And then, of course, if it's stretching towards the Terran, means the Terran's losing map control. And if they don't have a winning engagement or high, like, Tier 3 tech in the form of, I don't even know, like several Thors and Widowmines, they're going to really struggle. 2-2's on the way. How many racks? 8 racks from Cure. The mass racks production. Marines pumped out a dozen at a time. Once again, we've barely had like some small skirmishes, just Zerglings, but that is about to change. Here come the Banelings. Looking for the Mutas. The Raven stands idly by, but the Marines do not! They stutter, step forward, and bite off a few Mutas. The Banelings crash through, but they weren't nearly enough to stop the Marine count of Cure. Overlords paying the ultimate price for being so lazy and not researching the speed upgrade. Infestation Pit is on the way. The Raven did survive. Anti-armor missiles on the table. Auto turrets as well on the deck. Meanwhile, great splits out of Cure. Has time to set up. He is on creep. The upgrades are even. The Banelings rolling through. He's right-clicking them to maximize the amount of time they can tank, shots from the Marines. There's not enough Banelings here. The Queen's trying to stall this out. He can't lose the 4th base without losing a huge amount of momentum. DRG is pushed back against it. The Banelings trying to isolate the Marines, but the Marines isolate the Mutas, and the Mutas, well, not going to survive too much of that. DRG desperately trying to put enough on the field, but it looks like Cure might have the overwhelming numbers again. The Medivacs are out of energy and soon to be out of life. The Muta count is down to 1. The Zerglings continually produce, but the creep has been pushed back to the 4th. And that means DRG, well, this is his last stand. And it's a good one. That one Muta tried its best. The Queens. Revenge! 2-2 is finishing, but Cure has lost many of his Marines. May need to back off now, does DRG. 10 more Mutas on the way. He had 1,000 gas in the bank. He's hurting for Larva because the Queens have been pulled off the line. Yeah, not too many are left to inject. He puts a couple back. The Medivacs are hurting for energy, and when the Mutas come out, they'll be hurting to stay alive unless the Marines are able to stand their ground. The creep is respread. Cure laying on the pressure. DRG has stabilized. He finished +2 attack. He didn't have the money for +2 Carapace. Cure, on the other hand, continues pushing through. He's got his 4th base halfway done. Not nearly as much of an economic advantage as the previous one, but he's still holding a strong position. He clears up all the creep on the high ground. DRG holds. He rebuilds his Muta count. His Queens, the backstop he needed. Cure now, it's going to come down to micro. Let's see if I'm proven right or if I'm proven disappointed in Cure again. I'm sorry, Cure. I was so hyped for Cure at the beginning of this year. And then there were a few matches that made me reconsider. But he always shows such great play until 3 Banelings roll in. So please, Cure, let me be excited again. Be the antidote. Be the cure. A whole lot of Banelings. The tanks aren't sieged. Lings from the back as well. The Marines are splitting, but That's not what we're looking for. The Marines may be a little late on the draw there. DRG smashes that attack. And all of the medevacs with it. And suddenly Cure is pushed back. The creep spreads forward. And DRG is right back in it with a hive finishing up. Thor's on the way. Drilling claws. +3/+3. It's not like Cure's losing now. It's just that his advantage evaporated with a few banelings. And it wasn't like DRG got lucky or anything. He set up the surround. Cure went too far too fast. And now you don't really want to be playing defense against this kind of unit composition. You don't want to give them time to attack with banelings, rebuild, build more banelings, and defend with banelings. Yes, I said banelings 4 or 5 times, but he's going to need a lot more than that. Ultralisk Cavern, and I don't question that choice right here. Why? Cure has not built a single Marauder, I say, with 1 Marauder for the very first time in the production tab. Probably would have helped him a little with those splits, but of course not great against Mutalisks. I don't know if he's spotted the... No, he has not seen the Hive, nor any of the Hive tech. But when that much pressure is relieved, you can expect what the Zerg is going to do. The only difference between like Wings of Liberty and now is you can't just stay on MUTA Ling Bane. Widowmines and Thors are just too much of a threat. Having 50 mutas may sound like fun until 50 mutas die in 3 seconds. And that is whatever the intense opposite of fun. Whatever that might be. League of Legends. Got him. This drop is shut down. Whatever this was is gone. Cure has nothing on the map now. Ultralisk upgrades are in production. The muta count is at 20. I love that muta count. I think Solar is one of the players who's best about it too. Like, maximum 25, best is about 18 to 25 mutas. Enough to one-shot medevacs and mines and rip through turrets, at least in 2 volleys, without committing a huge percentage of your army to something that can die in 2 seconds to splash damage. That's the perfect number right there. 20 mutas for DRG. He's got +2 flyer attack on the way. Cure's matching it. He's got +3 on the deck. DRG might not want to take a decisive fight until he's on creep and or has that +3. There's a couple Widowmines in the mix. He's going to drag Cure back across the map. Ultralisk on the way. Well, he didn't build any Ultras, but they could be. Alright. And he has money in the bank. How much will DRG commit to dealing with this? So many Zerglings. There's a lot of Zerglings. There's 82 Zerglings, 32 Banelings, 15 more in the mail. Ultralisk speed. Usain Boltralisk on the way. Cure taking up a position here. That's not an army. That isn't his whole army. I think Cure smells blood in the water. Or maybe on the creep. And he definitely will after this. The mutas spreading, magic boxing a little, eating some splash. You gotta be careful against those Thors. He picks up a Thor. In come the reinforcements. Where were they a minute ago? Cure down to 150 supply. +3 attack is completed. And Ultra speed is completed. Ultra's on the way. I think DRG takes a better trade in that engagement. But Cure eventually wins the fight. He's lost 6,000 less resources. We're not nearly there yet, but we could eventually find ourselves in a scenario where we're talking about, well, he just has less to mine because Banelings aren't free. More medevacs on the way. Cure has yet to go for Ghosts or Liberators, and he hasn't really had the provocation for it, as, well, speaking of, as he hasn't seen the Ultras nor Broodlords. Ghosts in general are pretty good, but not against MUTA Ling Bane. They're just not the unit you're looking for. Against the Ultras, though, you need something that can work through that ridiculous armor. I believe he scanned the Ultras at some point, is what provoked this. Meanwhile, more mines on the way. +2 flyer attack. Cure maintaining a strong position in the center of the map. Both sides with a huge amount of income. DRG maintains a little more. Everyone's maxed out. It's time to throw down. DRG has MUTA Ling Bane with a few Ultras. He's going to be looking for an opportunity to force a winning fight. Cure, on the other hand, has more tech on the way. He's going to try to keep DRG under control. Bait units into things like mines, maybe start dropping more, and then eventually get... Like, the ultimate army is Ghost, Range Liberator, I dare say battle cruisers, but not really. Like, essentially everything but Marines and Marauders with just enough supply to ward away things like Ling counterattack. Oh, Banelings make it through, but the Ultra's unprotected easily. Well, can easily be dealt with. Chased by Marauders. The creep is halfway across the map. I think it pretty well represents where we are in this game. Cure, he's been losing fights, but the war itself, he's still somewhat winning. DRG is eventually going to have to figure out what to do with these units. He's looking for this bit of bile. Cure is trying to get him to fight and continue to lose cost-efficient battles. Where's the Widow Mines? Where are the Widow Mines? Here are some Widow Mines. There the way he retargets or he kills the units. Either way, some snipes come out. Ultra. Chase down. Meanwhile, a couple Lings spot this base. Have they seen this one? Yeah, Cure has most of the bases on this side of the map. That's a fusion core, a nuclear missile, another command center, 4 ghosts, Neil Steel armor, and +3 mech plating. So Cure is just going to go ahead and get everything else. Meanwhile, here come a lot of Banelings, and that is a planetary. A juicy target. DRG decides to redirect. 1 Widow Mine. Not really the most devastating thing. Targets down the sensor tower. Drags the army back. The baited switch! DRG smashes the planetary and leaves most of the Banelings for the bio. The trail end. All of these fights, it's about burst damage versus sustainability. The Terran army wins a longer battle. You got medevacs. You got snipes. You got Widow Mines. Whereas the Zerg army is all about hitting hard and fast. The Ultralists, the Mutas, the Banelings. They want to get up in your grill and make it so you can't fight back until you've already lost too much. DRG doing a great job with a small Ling counterattack, a lot with a little. But how does he actually win the game? Nuclear launch detected. Will DRG see it? There's so much going on right now. This is the part of the game where there's just so much to look at. DRG, of course, sees it. These players at hundreds of... Wow, DRG is at 600 APM. Of course, building this many Zerglings is not the smallest task. I keep seeing a bunch of blue on the minimap. That's just the changelings. I wish... Well, I keep getting baited by this. Rainer levels. And Rainer style. When you have this many actions, you might as well use them. And he's doing a great job with it. The fact he's still in the game after that first pressure is a testament. Meanwhile, a handful of Banelings coming through. They might not see the Widow Mines, but they get close enough. Meanwhile, another attack on the right flank. The Mutas and Ultras. This is the real attack. This is the Ultras. Wherever they're committed, that's where the main attack will be. Here come the Banes, rolling through into the mineral line. Find the SCVs, crush the planetary. Ultras clean up the rest. The Mutas mostly survive. 18 SCVs. Not that Cure is hurting right now in the SCV count. In fact, he's probably going to want to drop to 40 or 50. Maybe 50. 50's comfortable enough. Because he's going to have the minerals via mules, and his army needs to be as large as possible because size matters against big, thick units like Ultras. More Mutas on the way. He's replacing what he lost, going up to 19. The sweet spot, right around that 20 Muta mark with +3 flyer attack. He could get flyer carapace, but those Mutas are going to die to a strong gust of wind or 2 Widow Mines anyways. Watchtowers retaken. DRG is definitely winning battles, but he's lost 10,000 more resources. 500 Lings against 230 Marines, and so much more. Another small attack on the right, and a huge attack down the center. This is where most of the expensive units are committed. An orbital, and many of the SCVs now. So here's the problem. Cure doesn't have a bank. He's desperate. He's not mining a small amount. Oh, that's an income advantage. And remember, that's with mules being dropped. The orbital burns. Changeling dead to an SCV. Cure down to 41 SCVs, which means the army value is actually about even. DRG is still sitting on 84 drones. He's mining every base on his side of the map. Everyone that still has resources. Oh, a big group of ghosts! Get them out of there! The Lings, Banes, and Lisks crash through. It feels like Cure is crumbling here. He's lost most of the western side of the map. The orbital lifts, but too late. It will burn. Widowmines find damage, but isn't enough. Now DRG is targeting the planetary. The Zerg have roamed free for too long, and now they're running over the entire map. The repair is good, but there aren't enough units to save him. Doesn't even have the minerals. Finally, it goes down. Ultralisk nearly dead, but there's so much more behind it. Splash damage doesn't come through. 11 more SCVs. Ultra goes down, but retreating to the barracks is the only hope for Cure. The army supply is about even. DRG backs off refills. The 300 supply Zerg of old. The legends return. Legend has it that Zergs didn't stop at 200, but instead banked up enough larvae to make it irrelevant. He rebuilds, he refreshes, reloads, and forces another retreat. Okay, the splits are good. There's a lot of medevacs. They're mostly out of energy. So Cure has kept them alive, but +3 flyer attack mutas. Knocking down the count. Reinforcements cut off by a small clutch of Zerglings. DRG is now expanding to the only resources left. Let's put it that way. Not a good sign for Cure. DRG is mining out. He's mined out of 4 bases and going on 5. He's draining through. He's still lost 12,000 more resources. Cure is desperate. There's still a couple Widow Mines. There's a Dream. Oh my god. Is there enough anti-air left? There are 17 Marines. And a handful of mines. And a nuke. With nothing to launch it. The Marines aren't going to win. Not against that many Zerglings. Those are, like, you don't usually find well-upgraded mutas. Like, usually the mutas don't have the attack upgrades. But here, DRG. He holds on to his 4th, and yada 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 wins the game. About 15 minutes later, Cure was able to lay on the pressure, but DRG bent. He did not break. What a game, just to tie it up. 844 Lings. 45 mutas, 140 Banes, half a dozen Ultras and Queens. Hundreds of bio units. But Cure couldn't really find, like, after that 4th base attack, it felt like DRG kind of grabbed the game by the chitinous plating and didn't let go. And unfortunately, what I kind of a little expect to see out of Cure is great macro, solid timings, but the execution just wasn't perfectly there. A few of the Baneling connections were too much, and it was very difficult to recover from that. Alright. Well, that's why we play more than 2 games now. DRG was here a moment ago. We were going to have an interview, but he left. So. Like and subscribe, and maybe we can get DRG on. This is just he invited me over. Jimmy! Game 3. That was, like, that game a little bit. If we zoomed in a little more, kind of felt like we were watching a cinematic. It's been a bit since we've seen, well, I think the last game I saw like that was Clem versus Cyril. The other way, though, where it was Clem just relentless micro, and Cyril with great macro just couldn't find a winning fight. And eventually Clem overwhelmed him over the better part of 30 minutes. This was kind of like, it felt like a reverse, where DRG just kept the pressure on once he got any sort of control, and Cure just couldn't find a way out from underneath it. Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you... Okay. He's looking for proxy racks. I thought... Wait, no, that's illegal. That's illegal! You can't do that! Okay. Build a pool. Don't you dare go get a third. He's looking for proxy racks. I don't blame him. After that, like... Okay, I thought he was going to go 3 hatch before pool. I'm like, well, now we're going to see the Reaper kill drones. I think that game was a huge confidence booster for DRG. Game 1 was exceedingly disappointing in how much momentum he lost early. And honestly, Cure ran away with it, with the Widowmine drops. I don't think we'll see that again. I love the 3 CC plays, and on it, I see where DRG was going with that. Like, okay, so I just want a solid macro game. This is the perfect time. I've played Maru enough to know this is when the 2 racks happen, right? Not this time. Will the Reaper kill a lane? You will see. A great series, though. I looked at... I saw in the ESL Open these guys in the finals. I'm like... Because they both feel like about the same level right now. Like, maybe not the top 5 players in Korea, but probably in the top 10. Almost certainly. Especially of their races. And they both have very similar styles, in my opinion. Like, they're both big macro players. They'll mix in a cheese, but it feels like that's how they treat themselves, is every once in a while doing a proxy or an all-in. But the bread and butter, the biscuit is buttered by that solid macro. 3 base, 60+ workers, and just slogging it out. Oh, playing hard to get, I see, Mr. Reaper. That was a turn. Social distancing! No! Get away! Will he lose the creep tumor? The grenade. Oh, it's a bold move, Cure. What are you doing? Oh, no. Okay. That creep tumor looks weird. You see, it's the bones of Zergling's past that the creep tumor is respecting by not creeping into this area. Also, I love that little detail. Like, that's something the map maker has to add. Are the little details like that no one ever sees, because literally, if you're on a normal camera, it's essentially blocked, and only if you turn your camera with my fancy hotkeys do you see it. Maybe there's some on the other side. Yeah, it's usually symmetrical. Liberator's on the way. This isn't a 3cc opener for Cure, not like last game. The Hellions just kind of run in. Where are the Zerglings? Speed is 1 second away. Gets 3 drones. Costs a Hellion. Was that 2? 2 Hellions. Eh. Baneling Nust is on the way. Yeah, DRG is not taking any chances anymore. Not since game 1. The Queens. You know where the Queens aren't? Brenda! Where are you going? You know you're not going to catch the Reaper. They're not where the Liberator is. Liberator like, oh! Hello! How are you? I think he shift queued up a few drones there, because it's unlikely you're ever going to kill the Queen. Oh, wait. Whoa, 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 whoa! Well, isn't this a cheeky play? And then the Spore Crawler shows up, and suddenly Cure... That's a lead! Okay, so... That was cute. But... I feel Cure got a little wrapped up in his own play there. And kind of outplayed himself. If it had worked and there hadn't been a spar. Or if he had actually gotten some drones, but instead he loses all his Hellions. That really did feel opportunistic as opposed to planned. Okay, okay, I'm gonna allow it. This is a definite... In fact, I love it. Because if you watch me, you know I love to criticize players with, like, double my MMR. Or close to it. So we're gonna do that again. I usually crit... Like, stop building your Evos as a wall at the third! They just die to drops. But I like this a lot. Because they're, like, if you lose these Evos, you probably lost the game because the third is gone. They're not at the edge of the third. They're inside. They're still kind of a wall and protect the mineral line a little. And less likely to be scouted super early. Not that that's a huge deal. This gives the winter of where to place your upgrade buildings. Well, speaking of drops, down goes a queen. The target fire, looking for the Banes. 1, 2, 3. Little bit of micro, not out here. A little bit of macro, that's you fear. A little bit of medevacs with marines. A little bit of banelings exploding green. A little bit of queen's energy. A little bit of stem, don't do drugs. A little bit of banelings, oh. There's too many banelings, oh no. That's another situation where if Maru or Clem had those Marines, those Banelings are dead, and there's a lot of pressure on that floor. Those Cure Marines, they get some of the Banelings, they get a Queen, and they gotta get out of there. And, that's the struggle. But here comes the rest. There's 5 Speed Banes, and DRG is really like, but even Cures, I think, not going to be too scared of 5. 1-1's about to finish. DRG's definitely going to wait on that, but wait. There's Zergling from the back. There's not as many Zerglings as I thought. It looked bigger on the minimap. Everything looks bigger on the minimap, if you know what I mean. The Queen's eating a lot of tank shots. Here comes the attack from both flanks. The Banelings trickling in. Oh, but the Ling's blocking him out. Not a single Marine will be picked up. The medevacs were stuck over the high ground. Everything dies. Well, that was a pretty solid cleanup there from DRG. Cure kind of lost everything but the medevacs. And maybe next time the medevacs will go too, with 10 mutas on the way. The advantage for Cure is, well, he has a 4th on the way. Well, he doesn't have a 4th on. Nope. Sometimes I hate being right. And it feels mean to kind of harp on the point that Cure's micro is just not at the same level of other Terrans. But we keep seeing these armies that only work if you have pretty solid micro. And if you go out with that army, and you can't rely on your Marines to be able to stand their ground against Banelings, then you've lost all map control. DRG, well, the sensor tower at least gives some time. But now DRG has reign of the map, at least until 2-2 is done, which isn't too far off, but Deja Vu, Cure's boxed into his base again. DRG has not been... He's got 85 drones! I say, dramatically, and it should be said dramatically, as that is a lot of drones. There are drilling claws on the way. It's not like Cure is out of it. It's just, he's going to have to make big plays, and he's got a lot less room for error now that the mutas are out. A failed attack not just means your Marines die, but the medevacs too, and that starport time is at a premium. He's only got 1 starport. He's got plenty of racks. He's always great about that. I don't know. I feel like I'm cheering for Cure. I'm always cheering for Cure. He's a Terran you can cheer for. He's an underdog. DRG's also a fun player, but I'm cheering for Cure here. I'm completely unbiased, though, as a caster and a professional. But go get him, Cure! The war is finishing up. DRG not really focusing on any particular attack, but he isn't maxed out now. The creep is all over the place. It feels like DRG's even struggling to keep up a little here. Even with his... closer to 1,000 than 0 APM, which is, wow, that's very complicated way to say 600. He's creeping all over the map, expanding everywhere, getting all of the tech. He's finally consolidated. Decent Widowmine hits, more reinforcements. These units are just kind of chilling. They feels like they were a little left out in the cold here, but the medevacs are eliminated. It's quite a map. It's much bigger than Ice and Chrome. Not much bigger, but bigger than Ice and Chrome, with a lot more area and creep to deal with and/or spread. .3 is halfway done. The hive for DRG isn't too far behind, but there will be an upgrade advantage here soon enough, assuming there's enough units to actually use it. There are 31 banelings on the field. Yes, the creep is that much of a difference. That standing on the edge is a key component of actually winning the fight. The Thor zones out the mutas. The Widowmines eliminate a lot of the banelings. Decent hits. The Thor is taken out. Cure finds a good engagement, but DRG pulls back before losing too many key units. The banelings rolling in towards the 4th, or 3rd. This was the 3rd, right? Yeah, 3rd. Small counterattack drags Cure's army out of position, though. He brought the whole army back, which means the mutas can continue to get a spot on it. That gives DRG time to rebuild. All that creep that he pushed back is going to be somewhat replaced. Infantry weapons level 3. The Marines are caught in a bit of an awkward scenario, but good Widowmine hits. The mutas are on the other side of the fight. Another group of Marines from the north gunning down the mutas. Most of the banelings eliminated. 3-3 will finish up. Cure lost a chunk of units, but not enough to stop this attack. And especially with 3-3, Cure knows now is the time. He must get something done now. This is the last time he's going to have an advantage for a while. The upgrades he'll have for at least another minute or so. He doesn't know how long exactly, but Hive Tech is certainly on the way. He needs to win a fight. He needs to kill a base, or at least control DRG, before the exact same thing as last game happens again. He can't rely on DRG just flying into Widowmines. He can't rely on him forgetting Ultralisks exist. And most players would say, well, Ultras are not your ideal unit almost ever. But this is the scenario. When you're dealing with a lot of bio that is under an imperative to get damage done and has to fight at least on the edge of the creep, the Ultras force micro, which opens up opportunities on the other side of the map for, say, Zergling run-bys. Widowmines work both ways. They don't discriminate about what they're hitting unless it's also a Widowmine. Cure is all clumped up. The Widowmines now burrow. He's off a creep. A small group of banelings hit the Marauders. A lot more Marauders mixed in than last game, so that's a lot better for Cure against the banelings, and it will be against the Ultralisks, which he's already expecting. Chitinous plating is done. No more Paperlisks here. Speed was queued up right behind it. +3 ain't done yet. That's a lot of Widowmines! But the Widowmines hit the Ultras, which is good, but they're still... by a lot of Widowmines, I meant a lot of banelings. That was... yeah, very different. There's a lot of banelings and one Widowmine. Meanwhile, DRG. Oh, he closes the jaws of the Ultras and the jaws of the Zerg. He chases him back. So many banelings, just the one Ultra. The turrets are going to help. He might be able to pick off an Ultralisk. DRG doesn't have the ridiculously overwhelming economy he did last game. Ignore that graph. He doesn't have the bank. That's the key part. Banelings have to be replaced every fight. So does, of course, any Terran units that go down. These Widowmines finding good connections. The splits are good. The creep is minimal here as he pushes in towards the 4th. The heart of the swarm. He's tearing through up to the high ground. Are there enough Widowmines to backstop this? The Mutalist count is at 20, right on the dot, looking for that money number there. Trying to isolate small groups of Marines. The banelings crashing through. Cure well spread here, but the Zerglings close the distance quickly. Medevac's out of energy. Some of those are changelings, which might be skewing Cure's perspective of the fight. More Widowmines coming out. DRG is supply blocked. How did he lose that many Overlords? Which is the supply block on DRG at one of the most awkward times you can possibly be supply blocked. He has money. He has to build 10 Overlords at a time. A panic unblock here. And that's a lot of money to be losing. Where are these Widow... I didn't even notice how many Overlords died there. There's only 6 down. I guess he just didn't have that many built. But that supply block really slows down the reinforcements of DRG. And it might make the difference here. That gives Cure a lot more space than even he might be expecting, I think. That was a good fight out of Cure. DRG's lost 10,000 more. Remember, he lost 10,000 more last game, but there was a lot more lost from Cure as well. So actually, I think, despite maybe losing a lot of little battles, Cure is getting a little closer to winning the war. DRG has 96 drones, but Cure's nearly maxed out, which means his army supply, with only 70 workers, is going to be bigger. And of course, that's part of having mules, so you don't need as many workers. Several ultras in this army. There are 4 ultras on the field, which is getting it to be, oh, the overseers! The suicide run! Kamikaze into the the Widow Mines onto the army. The ultras chewed up by the bio. Banelings doing their best. 10 SCVs have gone down. Big Zergling counterattack on the other side. It's cleared up the third. Cure is still mining, though. DRG scrambles back. An ultra pops out, gets a couple swipes in, and gets knocked out. There's a... Ricky! Ricky, the accidental swarm host, a sign of panic. DRG's losing drones. He's got money in the bank. I think he's kind of deciding what to build here. DRG has the other side of the map as this battle continues. The third will be replaced. Both sides working on the main base flank. I guess whatever's north or south of the main. Whereas expanding away from that direction and defending that with their armies. So DRG has a lot of creep and the bases over on the bottom right, but Cure has a well-defended and established set of bases on the top left. So we're far from deciding this. There has not been a decisive engagement. There's just been a lot of trading, but who comes out on top? A small Bioforce drags back, even eats a few Banelings, which best you can really hope for with that. Those are Changelings. They scared me. I thought they were mines. Still some mines on the left. Mutas cut off on the retreat. He's lost a lot of mutas there. He's down to 9. More Banelings on the way. DRG supply blocked again. He just hates his overlords. Broodlords and other sorts of lords alike. Queens are the only thing he needs. But he's lost a lot of queens too. More Banelings trickling through. The creep doesn't make it all the way past. Ricky's here and he's helping. I'm helping, guys. Let me come with you! Anyways. Meanwhile, liberation is at hand. Oh, so is the camera. Meanwhile, a Venn diagram of freedom. He's trying to deal with the Liberators. Cure's down to 100 supply. The Liberators taking big chunks, actually killing Ultras. The Mutas will eventually kill it. They don't have great upgrades. Push back to the barracks. It appears that fight was decisive enough. And now he's on the production. 1 Ultra on the production with any amount of Mutas. This could end it. It felt like maybe Cure was stabilizing, but instead, he's stabilizing as a flat line with no hope of coming back. DRG just takes an overwhelming fight. It looks so good as Cure cut off a bunch of Mutas. I think he baited himself a little into a fight. He's like, I killed Mutas, well, let's go! And then Ricky shows up. And Ricky's got the crazy eyes and the locust, and he says, let's go get him, boys. And then, of course, he doesn't go himself. Instead, a bunch of Lings, Banes, and Mutas. But that brings us to match point. In this epic series between Cure and DRG to decide who takes home the title. And the lion's share of $400. Which is a respectable amount for a weekly tournament, as well as ESL points for those major tournaments held throughout the year. I have a dream, but will it be Cure's nightmare? DRG up 2-1. And honestly, those last 2 games looked about as identical as they could. There were some details that were different. There were some unit composition, like the unit compositions were slightly adapted, at least for Cure. He added some more Marauders, which I think was a net win. He added quicker Widowmons, and he was adding Liberators, but he was kind of interrupted before he could get anywhere substantial with them. Whereas DRG's like 20 Mutas, Lings, Banes, and then we'll slap some Ultralists in there, and baby, we got a stew going. So at the end of the day, if you like this TVZ, like, subscribe, ring the bell, Jimmy says we were supposed to do an advertisement before match point, but these matches are too exciting, and we don't have time to waste to see another one. So, and if you want to participate and or watch live, every Monday on all 3 servers, both NA, EU, and Korea, you can participate in any. It's just which server they're held on. Ask Parting, who oftentimes plays in multiple. Scarlet has one on multiple servers. Well, there's the North American ESL Pro Tour Weekly. There's the Korean ESL Pro Tour Weekly. And then there's the Big Gabe ESL Pro Tour Weekly. After he's won, honestly, like 14 of them. It's ridiculous. So good luck in competing in that one. That's why these players are relegated to Korea. Oh. Void. Oh. All right. Well, hopefully I'm the only one choking in this game. God. A dangerous job. Factory's on the way. It's going to be 1-1-1, as Beyond has yet to play, so 2-1-1 is not yet back in style. Did the Reaper get a kill? A bold move. The creep begins. I never know. So, I'm going to say it again. If you watch, you've heard me complain about this multiple times. But, obviously Terrans want to stop the first creep tumor. They want to delay it. So why do half the time Terran players lose most of the HP on their Reaper, so that way they have no chance of stopping the first creep tumor? Why don't they just wait? Like, you're not going to kill a Ling anyways. Why don't you just not lose most of your HP, and then you might be able to snipe or delay the first creep tumor? Every time I see the Reaper just in red health as the Queen pops a tumor down right in front of it, I shake my head. Three command centers. Here's back. Back again. Orbitals. Money. Greed. Is it mech time? I mean, it's just a bench. Alright, that doesn't tell you anything. It's mech time, though. I'm calling it. Pick up your phones, everyone! I'm calling it. He's tried bio. He's tried it 3 times. It went okay the first time, but honestly, it felt more like DRG getting too greedy rather than Cure having some sort of groundbreaking new strategy. So maybe after those last 2 matches, it's time to make it happen. Give me those factories, Cure. Don't you dare start stim. No. No. No, don't you build a barracks over here. Wow, he's just going to go take his third. That's why he's building the Banshees, I'd imagine. So that way he has... It's kind of like building an Oracle against Zerg. Now you have some basic protection for your base. Cure! Stim pack and 2 more barracks start. And so does my intense despair. I mean, it's not like he's been getting smashed. He's not been getting crushed. It's just that DRG has been taking like 5% too strong of fights overall, and that eventually tilts over into being too much. It's not like Cure can't compete. I don't know what you change. You just, honestly, it's tough to say. And that, here we go again. He has to micro better. He has to. Like, you can't be losing groups of, like, 8-10 Marines to a couple Banelings. Or Widowmines going off and hitting one Zerg. Like, it can't. He's got a micro, just not much. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot. He's got a micro better, though. He can't get armies crushed outside of 4th base, killing, like, a queen and some banelings. It's not that I think he can't, but 2 games so far, DRG's just been able to deal with it. We'll see. My queens, Brenda and her knitting crew sewn together. A solid start of a... Okay, well, that was... You know, they may look like they have a low center of gravity, but their turning radius, like many StarCraft units, actually all, effectively, is very short. Very low. So just because you're sneaking up behind them doesn't mean those queens aren't going to stop you. Every once in a while, even pro players, it feels like, are like, if I come in from the back, they won't shoot at me. It's like, no, that's not... No, this isn't Dota. Oh no, the Banshee cloaks with its last 2 energy? Not that it would have mattered. Three more racks on the way. Oh my god. Cure's sprinting to 8 racks. He's like, well, if I just build more Marines... There's a Silver Leaguer in all of us. What a perfect moment to say that. You've heard of the Caster Curse. That was the Caster Boon. Or the Caster Banes. Whatever. The creep. How many tumors? Well, Cure better... Well, not only might he be an immunologist, but also an oncologist. With 50 tumors on the field so far. Oh, in the pipe, 5x5, boys. Wait, that's not what Marines say. You're not real. That's where the army is. Combat Shields is only halfway done, which is a little awkward here. Feels slightly late. And that means these Marines... Oh, DRG's just like, oh, hello. Oh, goodbye. Oh, wow. Well, that was really bad. Cure's... He's building 13 Marines at a time, and like... Did you know that you can hear what was in the dropship when it dies? If you listen closely, you can hear 7 Marines cry out and immediately be silenced. And that's how you can also know if it was like a Widowmine drop or something. But you do have to listen kind of close. Deja vu. We've just fought in this place before. Right on the edge of creep. With a lot of mutas there. But this time there are more Marines with combat shields. So it's a much better position. That's... I mean... The Zerg aren't sending their best. But Zerglings are pretty good, so... Just bring a few Banelings next time. Whoa, that's a little awkward. He's caught. I'm not sure who's going to be caught between a rock and a hard place. As Cure holds the gap, but he's on it. You're on your own side of the map, Cure. So, you're not gaining much ground here. Just trying to hold whatever choke points he can. But surprise, here comes the neighborhood. A lot of Lings and Banes. Are there enough tanks? Why aren't the tanks sieged? Oh no! The tanks are just gonna die! There's so many Banelings! They're coming from everywhere! Are there enough Marines, though? There's so many Marines. Never mind! So many Marines! Terran! He survives the battle and continues forward. Slams and jams in another stim pack. The Banelings need to be replaced, and suddenly DRG overwhelmed by the sheer force and mass of Terran Marines. The mutas, they're not enough to break through. He needs more Banes. Cure needs to clear this creep, though. He really needs to clear this creep. Another round. Suddenly the Marines are thinning out. Or are they? It's unclear. That's a lot of Marines. He's got 2-2 done. The upgrade advantage is big in just like Muta Ling versus Marine fights. The banelings are the kicker, and the upgrades evening up on creep will definitely make the difference. The army supplies are even. The Marines are spread. He's had the opportunity. Banelings crash through a handful. Some are isolated. The rest of the Marines distracted by a hatchery. Here come the reinforcements parading across the map. The medevac's running out of energy, but more are being produced. DRG has yet to lose any economy here, though. There's no reason his production will slow down either. Cure is just now going for his fourth. 3-3 starts. The medevac's still trying to find opportunities to heal these Marines as they're constantly splitting and stimming. There's still creep in this location. It should be receding off some of it, but a huge count. Well, it looked bigger on the minimap. It always does, as we've mentioned. The wall will hold for now, but Cure got dragged back a lot of his units. That means DRG streams into that position. There's a lot of banelings here. He's got a split. Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, fine. That was like so many of these fights in this series. Perfectly okay-ish. Oh, well, it's like, well, the real estate value of this area is gonna be decimated, if nothing else. As the Marines come back to defend. And that means that DRG is going to secure his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th base? Okay, here we go again. 3-3's on the way. DRG following up. Oh, we're doing it again! Where's the Ultra Cav, DRG? 3, 2... Wait, I predict here. Here's a good spot. Do you agree? Wait. No! Why there? Put it at the natural. He's gonna drop you. Maybe probably not with 20 mutas on the field, though. Speaking of 22 mutas. Just slapping a couple extra on. But now focusing on ground. Trying to bait out a small amount of units. Cure, to his credit, has thrust up the center and cleared much of the creep. But the mutas, 2 turrets aren't going to stop this. Cure brings a few Marines. A couple mutas going to go down, but this is a serious problem. They're in the main. Cure has nothing to directly handle this. The reinforcements within the main aren't going to be enough. What else is he doing while this is happening? On both sides, that's the question. More turrets as they fly by that mountain. They can't fly high enough to go over them. Oh, no! No! The +3! That's the advantage! It's a disaster! This is a game changer, potentially a game winner. He can't lose that. He needs it so badly. He's going to save +3 attack if he had lost both. That's... the mutas are just killing the turrets, as they can kind of just do. Oh, a couple taken out, but all of this, how much time has he bought himself? No! Sir, we saw you out there, and we were gonna let you go, but now you shall not pass. Is Burrow done? He was tempted. The wall, will it hold? Cure scrambles back. The muta's a little disjointed. The baneling's pulling back as well. But all of this time has been bought at the price of just a few mutalisks. +3 is closing in for DRG. Chitinous plating, an Ultralist, +2 flyer attack, a whole lot of banelings. You don't want to go through there. Those are tanks. Those are tanks. Great target fire finds the center mass of the banelings. Oh no! There's rocks. There's rocks. Come on! Don't make me make the same joke again. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are streaming in. This might force the issue. I don't think Cure can come back again. Cure has to go forward. +3 isn't done for DRG. This is his opportunity to take a pretty decent fight. He's on some bits of creep. Cure is it's not going to get better than this. 5 seconds on the upgrades. Here comes DRG. The fight will start and the upgrades will finish. Are there enough Marines to stand their ground? There's one Ultra. A whole lot of Marines go down to a few banelings. That Ultra has chitinous plating. And that is a massive problem. The Ultra will drive back the Marines. Good luck with that. Good night, Cure. And good game, DRG. The Ultra leads the charge to victory. Cure takes game 1 and DRG takes the rest. An exciting and, like, essentially the same game 3 times, but with DRG getting better and better in each one and Cure struggling more and more. What do you think? Our Ultra's good. Our Muta's good. Is DRG just too good? Should Cure learn how to play mech? What could have gone better? What could have gone worse? And what is the best reason to watch ESL Pro Tour? Like, subscribe, check out the links below. Jimmy will definitely not forget again. Every Monday. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. Good luck and have